Tesla's been on fire with big moves the past few days. First, full self-driving supervised just launched in Australia and New Zealand. Second, Tesla expanded its Robotaxi fleet in Austin by 50% and doubled its service area. And FSD is now being tested in the Vegas Loop tunnels with the Boring Company. Third, Deutsche Bank forecasts China orders surging 100% month over month to 130,000 units on the back of the new Model Y L. This is massive for autonomy, massive for growth, and massive for investors. We've got the bulls here with us today. We've got Tesla boomer mama, the queen, Alexandra Mertz, Mr. Incredible, Jeff Lutz, the rational bull. And today we've got Matt Smith, the financial bull. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Herbert.
Hey, Herbert.
Hi, Herbert.
Let's get
Why didn't
going.
you say that Matt Smith is in a bedroom in Indiana? Paid by Bradford?
Kind of a dark and seedy bedroom.
What's going on, Matt? Tell us what's going on.
Seedy? I mean, there's tasteful artwork. Dark and seedy. Yeah, all right.
So tell us where you are, Matt. You're not in your home where 7 children are by themselves with the mother?
I'm not. Yeah, I've abandoned my family to go to a bedroom paid for by Bradford.
Paid
to
by
meet
Bradford.
Yeah. So I don't know how this went off the rails.
Now that we got that out of the way.
But yeah, at first Herbert thought that this was the bed where 7 children were conceived, and he's like, "What is Matt doing?" I had to clarify. You know, Halter Ferguson, financial rebellionaire. We've got our annual meeting right now, so we have an in-person meeting in Indiana near our headquarters. So that's why I am in a hotel room, not a bedroom. I guess it is a bedroom, but that's the creepy way to call it. Thanks, Alexandra.
I mean, it is a room with a bed.
It is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Jeff's bringing always the facts. That's the one thing.
This has
here.
gone
He's the
out of
rational
control.
bull.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. We are talking Tesla. We will ask you what the rebellionaires, what you are talking about Tesla there and how you're viewing it. Lots of things have happened with, I called it FSD, full speed ahead, and see if you agree with that. With all the things that just happened in the last week, right? They doubled their service area. They've added, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 more cars. They've allowed FSD supervised in Australia. Start off with you, Matt. Does that change, and does that bring forward or does that push back anything that you've been doing for forecasting Tesla stock and financials? The company and the product. I don't look at the quarterly stock movement.
A very realistic bull, questioning certain decisions.
The rational bull. I enjoy listening to bears.
Looking for the red flags. You're supposed to react.
It's just worth reminding people how big this upside opportunity is. So I think all that's pretty consistent with what we were expecting, meaning we were already very bullish on FSD. So like the geographic expansion has to occur. You know, I think we're going to get a little bit more excited when it's more than 5 or 10 cars being added to the Austin fleet. So that's what I'd be watching for a little bit more. I think the big thing that would get us like very bulled up is when the safety drivers get pulled out of the vehicles. But overall, we're extremely bullish. I think what has us more bullish than any of the items you mentioned is V14. The 10x parameter count. We think it's going to be, Elon has essentially said that it's going to be safer than a human, which by our math is, more than we think it's going to be roughly a safety critical intervention every 1,000,000 miles. Which most people aren't really agreeing with Bradford and I when we're talking about that. But I think that's the logical conclusion. So if we actually get that, probably it'll be October. Elon says next month, September. So we'll see when it actually comes. But that's what I'm super bulled up and excited about. So I think people are actually not excited enough about FSD right now.
Yeah, we'll come back to that because I know you and Bradford have some projections of where you think FSD 14 is going to be. But you said that it's like you're waiting for the safety drivers to be pulled out of the cars. Jeff, do you agree with that? This is what has happened just in the last week. We had on June 22nd when they launched Robotaxi, it was 20 square miles. Now it's like something like 170 square miles on August 26th. You can see the progression here, June 22nd, July 14th, the funny shape, August 3rd. Bigger, and then now August 26th. It includes Giga Texas. It includes the airport. Jeff, what's your thinking about all this?
Yeah, I wrote a post about it. I just think there's a sequence of events, and there's opinions on this matter just coming from a background of safety critical product launches. I think there's just different approaches to this, and I think I think we could be saying the same thing. It just, I think there's a sequence thing, which is if the car was driving perfectly, like there were zero interventions, you could remove the safety drivers. And I'm just saying something, slightly different, which is you're transitioning to a brand new release, brand new model coming up with V14. You have this approach. They're safety riders, by the way. It's very clear. These people aren't operating the vehicle. They're there to deal with, to validate the rider in the vehicle and to deal with any more critical issues. And I'm just saying something different, which is this is a safety critical product, safety critical rollout. Tesla does not get rationally covered in the media. And so if there's an issue, it could have greater enterprise risk to the rollout of this than not. So what I'm saying is leave them in, especially as you're going through this transition, leave them in. When you look at the economics of Robotaxi and you do any kind of reasonable time horizon, these safety riders turn into, you can't even see that in the economics. This is why we have to be thinking about the lifetime economics. We have to be thinking about, not even lifetime, just think about it over a 3 or 5 year period. And we have to think about the time to value, the time to getting to peak scale of robotaxis. And you want to minimize the time to get there. One of the ways to minimize the time to get there is to not have a safety critical issue. The other way to do it is to be able to launch more critically in regions. So I think it's less about is the rider in or not. It's more about how many different cities and how much surface area is being covered. Third thing is how many vehicles. The fourth thing for me is the safety rider. Those three things for me in terms of priorities come first. I think Tesla should leave them in as long as they need to, and to garner some level of stability. And in some locations, they have to leave them in until they get a certain number of miles to get locally qualified through regulators.
Okay, so I agree with you about the safety, what do you call it, safety monitor, safety observer. And it doesn't have to come in right away. But what about the vehicles? I know you said it's one of your other points, but they have only increased it from 12 to maybe another 5. That's what they're doing. Is that enough at this point, or is that another safety thing?
It is a safety thing. This is the probability of an incident occurring. So it's all interconnected. Tesla obviously has access to many vehicles, and they could have made this number thousands if they want to. They're honestly stepping this in a very methodical way. This is statistics based and driven. And if I were them, I would continue going in that order: cities, surface area, and then number of vehicles, and then the safety rider. I would go in that order. Again, I'm not smarter than they have the data. And I think they're doing what I'm saying. I'm just saying they don't need to hear it from me. I just think that's what they're doing, and I'm just trying to apply some logic to why I think they're doing it.
Okay, and then for you, Alexandra, I was going to share this news about FSD Supervised is now launched in Australia. It's going to be hardware for cars, the Model 3s and Ys, and then it'll be staged rollout, but $10,100 to buy into that. Theoretically, you could actually launch FSD or Robotaxi in Australia if you just say that they're all, it's like an Uber-like service, but you'd have to man it. But how big of a deal is this that Australia, a right-hand drive country, can actually now use FSD as well?
Was that 10,000 Australian dollars or 10,000 transferred into US dollars?
Yeah, I think it's US dollars.
Okay. Well, which is obviously more expensive than here. But first of all, on the upfront price, I do hope Tesla still keeps up a couple of upfront prices, because once we're on a subscription model, that's over. Then it will adapt to the utility of how you use your monthly subscription, and will have different prices. The ones that have paid upfront, they will obviously then have it for their way to use it. If it is US dollars, it really shows confidence, going from 7,000 back up to 10,000. But I'm not so sure it is US dollars. I just want to add to what Jeff just said, which was all correct and perfect. But all this is noise. Do you really think in a year or two we're going to look back and think, oh my God, were they in August or in September or in December ending the safety monitors? Nobody will care anymore. Nobody will even remember. So this is one of those typical things where, it keeps us busy now, and it gives those Tesla Q people a talking point, and it gives those Wall Street analysts something to moan about because they have nothing else. But other than that, this is just complete nonsense to concentrate on. There's no point. Zero. No value.
I just checked. You're actually right. It's Australian dollars, so it's only $6,800 US.
You want to say that again, Herbert? You want to say that again?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Again.
Oh, well, where is my pin? Where's my pin? Where's my pin? Here it is.
Okay, I agree, and Alexandra agrees, and with what Jeff said about that it's really about the surface area, which is the opposite of what everybody's saying. They all think that, no, it's the time that they pull out the safety monitor, the safety driver, the safety, what do you call it? Safety passenger, safety rider, Jeff calls it. Where do you stand, Matt, on this?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with the framing of Alexandra and Jeff, actually. My point is the removal of the safety monitor is going to be a signal to the market that, yes, they are definitively safer than a human driver, and you don't need that like safety layer. And then the unit economics go from being negative, which I'm sure they are with the safety monitor, to like extremely positive. So like that's when we kind of pivot towards, actually having amazing margin potential and that flowing through the financials. So I completely agree. Like, you don't want to do that preemptively. That's like the worst strategic mistake you could make. And like in the long term, this will just be kind of noise of, oh, well, was it in October of 25 or was it in January of 26? Like, it's not going to matter in the long run, but in terms of a catalyst for broader recognition of like the company's technology actually works, because there still is skepticism of that out there. I think the removal of that monitor is just going to be a signal. That's all I mean by that.
But I mean, Matt, the vehicle operators are paid $30 an hour. I mean, that's not, a major cost in this whole game.
Well, what's the revenue of a vehicle in an hour?
And the revenue is close to zero. So yes, it's slightly negative, but I mean, this is this typical test phase where obviously it costs you money to get to the point where you want to have it fully operational and in mass. But I don't think it's the cost of the monitors that is the dragging factor.
No, but it's from a unit economics basis. Like, obviously, we're not going to be talking about unit economics or like
can't do that with 12 cars,
contributing to earnings per share until the safety riders are removed. Once that happens, and we're at the scale, we have the surface area like Jeff spoke about. Like, that's when we get all excited about like how massive and like high margin this is going to be, and how quickly it's growing. Like, that's the thing we've all been excited about for many years. And so the removal of the safety monitor is just a signal that, that trajectory, we're actually on it now. So we're getting closer, and I really agree with the framing of both of you. Really, I'm only talking about removal of the monitor as that signal.
So if I asked each of you, and please answer the question if you can, just guess, just totally guess, when will they remove the safety monitor?
In which city?
I don't know, just anytime.
No,
like
be
any
precise.
city.
So we can, if you are precise, we can respond.
Austin. It's most likely they would do it there first, wouldn't they?
1st of December.
Okay.
I'll say 1st of January.
End of the year.
End of the year?
And you? What say you, Herbert? Say something. So
I did answer the same question because I had the same thinking that Jeff was just pitching here yesterday, and my answer was in January. And the reason is that they're going to keep expanding it, but if FSD 14 actually is 2 to 3 times better, I agree with you, Matt, that's really the thing we're following and watching. If that happens, you still want to stay safe, small number of cars, small number of invite only, but bigger and bigger regions to test it in. But at some point, you want to go ahead and remove it just to say, because it's already there. It's already done. It's like 2 to 3 times safer.
Okay, so can we just conclude that
January,
if it is 1st of December or earlier, I won. So just that we know.
You win if it's under, if it's this year, you win. If it's next year, I win. Yeah. In Austin, yeah. So that's FSD version 14. Bradford was coming out making some statements. Wasn't he the last week saying that he thinks that FSD 14 is like, I don't know, what is it, 100 to 1,000 times better than 13? And he's being a little too bullish there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is we know they've been cooking something up for many months now because we don't have a meaningful update from V13 for like 8 months or whatever it's been now. A lot of minor fixes, but we know that they've done a lot with Austin that's going to be incorporated in this. We know Elon was talking about a 3x parameter increase, then that turned into a 4x parameter increase. Now that's a 10x parameter increase.
Correct.
And like all these things are kind of pointing towards a very significant upgrade that's going to be coming whenever V14 launches, like Elon said, next month. So Bradford's position, which I completely agree with, is like this is going to be a way bigger deal than people are expecting, where it'll be something like a 100 to 1000x improvement in miles per critical disengagement. And that's like safety critical disengagement. And I think we also have a higher baseline for where they are right now. I think our view is it's something like 2,000 miles per critical intervention. I think most people assume it's less than 1,000. Because my sense is a lot of people will say, oh, like the Tesla ran a red light, that was a safety critical intervention. And I'm like, no, there was literally nobody around. That was illegal. It was not safety critical. If there was a car coming the other way and it ran a red light, that's 1,000%, that's a safety critical disengagement. So what we're thinking is, let's say they're every 2,000 miles right now, just to make the math easy. So if they get 100x better from on that dimension, then all of a sudden you're at 2 million miles. So you're significantly safer than a human at that level. So Bradford was posting a lot about this, basically saying that people are not excited enough about V14. And he was talking to James Dalma about it, kind of getting his thoughts. And then James Dalma made this post, which Elon responded to. And Elon basically confirmed that it will be safer than a human, which, like, to level set, I think it's roughly an accident every 500,000 miles that a human has. So if it's safer than a human, and Elon said in that post, maybe it'll be 2 or 3 times safer, then you're talking about an accident every million and a half miles on V14. Once they roll that out. So like at that, to me, like those numbers all kind of make sense. It also kind of makes sense with the progress that they had on like V13 and how they're kind of hunting down nines with the incremental data that they're getting. So like, to me, that just kind of tracks with what he's trying to do with rolling out Robotaxi nationwide, by the end of the year, or whatever he said previously on that front. So I just think it's a very big deal. I think it's going to be way better than people are expecting, and way safer than people are expecting.
Do you guys all think that version 14 is, I don't know what the right word is, it's a done deal? Once you have 14, you can roll out Robotaxi without safety monitors, drivers, or riders? Or do you think you have to wait till 15 to, because like Elon said, right? If you agree with what he says that it can do almost everything except for, and he listed 3 examples that are edge cases, but that doesn't mean you can't roll out Robotaxi already.
Yeah, so I do agree with the framing Jeff had earlier. Like, the worst thing you could do is get a little too aggressive with the rollout, keep the safety, yank the safety monitors on like the day V14 launches, and then let's say a week later there's some bad accident and someone gets injured or God forbid killed. Like, then you put a total pause for maybe a year on rollout of this. So even though it might be highly unlikely that something like that happens, I think it's much more prudent to make sure that the real world performance is what you were modeling, and then once you have that level of confidence, then you can remove the safety monitors. So I think they've got to kind of walk a tight line where Elon has said this in the past, that there's actually a moral case to be made that you should roll out FSD as aggressively as possible once it is safer than humans, and I fully agree with that. At the same time, you if there is a bit bad accident and you risk that rollout by like a year, let's say, because you're only mildly safer than an accident, and just law of large numbers, you get one on week 2 or something like that, and that pauses the rollout. So like, you want to kind of balance the initial bad reaction that first bad accident will inevitably create. Like, we know there will be a bad Robotaxi accident at some point, and it's going to be very bad press for Tesla when that happens. So you want to kind of balance that with the fact that, like, morally, if it's objectively safer than humans, you want to roll it out as fast as possible.
Yeah, that when you have a safety critical product like this, there is a numerical exercise that you manage as a company doing a launch like this. And with the number of vehicles being small right now, I believe Tesla has an equation in their mind of number of nodes, which are basically cities, surface area, and number of vehicles, and then the probability of incident based on the performance of the system that they have. So set that to the side right now. What they need to do is they need to get, and it's going to sound obvious, but when I connect it all together, I think it'll be clearer. They have to be careful with the rollout now, but as they get a larger number of vehicles out and it's more stable, when there is an incident, there would be so much faith in the population and the performance of what is out there. As long as they have it out there with a lot of runtime, more vehicles, steadily more vehicles over time, these things start becoming familiar. They look that, they just start becoming like they fade into the background of the city. The worst thing, so that's why I think every city is going to roll out with a safety rider for some period of time. Some of these localities, it's part of the requirement. Stabilize it, it fades into the background, it's running perfectly, and then you start removing these things out moving them out in more of a gradient fashion versus some event so I think that's the way that they're going to approach it. And as they start removing them out as a gradient, the population is going to be accustomed to these things. And if there is a problem, if there is a fender, if something happens, people are like, okay, it happened. But there's a preponderance of data that says these things are actually safe and drive better than humans. So I think they need to get there and get that familiarity in each of the cities. So I think that's how they're going to approach it. That's how I would recommend they do.
I completely agree. And all this impatience is from people who are looking only at the short term because they have options, because they're trading or whatever else it is. If you're here for the long game, it really doesn't matter whether in 3 months there is no safety monitor or in 6 months. It really doesn't matter whether, they're initially on 12 cars, on 18 cars, on 24 cars, or 50 cars. It doesn't matter because the system, and only Tesla has this, the system can scale instantly to an incredible number of cars once you're at the comfort level. And so there's no point having too many cars running around until you are at the comfort level. And they're very close to the comfort level, but you obviously get into the 0.99999 issue where you just want to push it and push it and push it to get even closer to it, and give them the time necessary. I mean, like Jeff said earlier, they have all the data. They know exactly the little itches that they still, and glitches that they still have to make sure neural net is familiar with it, recognizes it, does it right the next time. And if that takes a couple more weeks, and if that takes a couple more weeks at lower number of cars, just to make sure that by the time they scale it with a higher comfort level. I don't even understand these whole discussions now for weeks and weeks and weeks that this is going too slow. It's not going too slow. They're increasing the zones, which gives them more data. Why are they? They're not increasing the zones just to make us happy because now it's not the middle finger anymore, whatever else it was. They're increasing the zones because it gives them new edge cases. It gives them new iterations of cases on which they may have not worked on in this way before. And that's learning. I mean, think of how all your kids start learning to walk. Sometimes you make a lot of progress in one day, and sometimes take a couple of weeks to stabilize at that level, and then they suddenly know how to do the stairs and whatever. And that's how it works with these cars.
So the four of us have said either December or January. And what's going to happen next, though? So we've got, launch on June 22nd, and almost about 2 weeks later, doubled in size again, and 2 weeks later, doubled in size again, and 2 weeks later, then they launch in California. What do you guys expect or thinking might happen? 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, something like this? Expansion of Austin? Are they going to add another city?
Area is the easiest. Because, as long as you stay in your configuration of a dozen car, 24 cars or whatever, by making the area bigger, you get new edge cases, you get new scenarios, you get new, and you actually offer a better service. I mean, I'm looking forward to traveling to Austin and hoping to have one at the airport. Mm-hmm. So you suddenly, you include behavior of a car at an airport is completely different than behavior of, completely different. It's still a car, it's still picking you up, but still the organization of an airport pickup is different than how you pick up people in town. So, whatever you make bigger, you will have new cases. And then there's the next one. I don't think increasing the area is that big of a challenge. I'm glad they're doing it, and I think it gives us, a nice comfort zone. But they can double and triple it, and that's all good. And they will double and triple the number of cars. But will come the moment where it's not about double and tripling, but then there's suddenly hundreds of more cars. It's that rollout, that moment is what we're all waiting for. And it doesn't matter whether it comes quick or not so quick. It comes, that's for sure.
Okay. And then anybody want to guess what's next? So you're saying just expansion of Austin, maybe add another city? Remember when they add another city,
it's, with all these vehicle operators in Brooklyn and whatever, of course they are doing new
clearly
cities.
It's coming.
And they're actually going to recruit. There's a new wave of recruitments happening in those cities. I know that just so I can share, because I love always that all my information is out. My son applied for a job in Brooklyn, didn't get it, didn't even get to the interview. But in that email where they told him he was not, they said there will be new vehicle operating positions in Brooklyn in a couple of weeks, and he should check again then. Gotcha. And this was a standardized email. It was nothing particular to the son of Tesla Boomer Mama, nothing at all. But just, it gives you the comfort that they're building them out.
Wow. Well, that's good info. Okay. So what's happened? So you said, Matt, that the stock, one of the catalysts could be when they remove the safety monitor, but none of us here on the panel think it's going to happen till December. But there's all these things that are happening from now till the end of December, right? If we go down the list, maybe you guys can help me create that list. But what do you guys think in October? There could be a new vehicle. There's the shareholder meeting.
You're so desperate for information, Herbert.
I'm just asking you guys
be patient. It doesn't matter.
I just tried to tell him. He doesn't even listen. I have a completely other question.
So all four of you. Oh wait. Just wrap this up. So none of you guys think that you don't care that the stock's going to do anything from now till the end of the year. That's none of your
Nobody
concerns.
Talked about the stock. Can I ask a different question now?
Okay. Go ahead.
Jeff and I don't get to talk either.
So I was listening 2 days ago to a show from McKinsey on autonomous cars, because they're sort of coming around. All these consulting firms are now talking about autonomous cars. And they had a lady who actually started her career at Tesla. So she was interesting. And her theory was, and I should have actually given you the clip, I apologize. And I may send it to you if you want to include it. But her theory was that people in the cars, once it's autonomous, will not want to play video games, will not want to read. They just want a more comfortable ride, because it's too shaky to be in a car to play video games. It's too much. You may want to talk more to your family, but she doesn't believe that the user experience in the car is going to be so much different. It's just going to be a more relaxed car. So I was thinking about that the last 48 hours, and I think it's complete BS, because just think of kids in the school bus. Kids in the school bus are certainly not in a comfortable position, yet they still do their homework that they haven't done the night before. They're still playing on their phones or whatever else tablets they have. And I think anything a kid can do in a very uncomfortable school bus, people can do very comfortably in an autonomous car. But I wanted to have your opinion on this.
Since I've been working in this field, I was called by many movie studios and game developers and others saying, this is going to be great when we all have autonomous vehicles. Everyone's going to want to play games. Everyone's going to want to watch movies, and we can create all these new experiences. I don't know. I think it depends. I think if you look on an airplane, when there isn't turbulence, everyone is watching a movie or looking on a device. I love music and podcasts and listening in the vehicle. So I think certainly a voice interface makes sense. And I think some kind of audio experience absolutely makes sense. How much we want to do in the visual experience depends on how rough the road is and how rough the ride is. Am I going to want to watch video? I don't know. I think maybe there's an opportunity for new experiences in the vehicles of the future that are autonomous. But I think just being able to make a great phone call, being able to relax, being able to not have to worry about the safety of the vehicle on the road, and just to be able to have personal time or time with friends, if you're traveling with friends, is going to be excellent.
And let me jump in because I actually have an experience. I was in a Tesla Robotaxi on June 22nd, and we did 4 hours of a live stream. And then when we turned off the live stream, Sat and I were, at some location, and we said, let's go back to our original location. So we took another Robotaxi, and that was like, okay, I wasn't live streaming anymore. It was just sat in the back of this car. Immediately, first of all, I wasn't even thinking anymore that this is a Robotaxi that's driving without a driver. It was just so comfortable. What did we do? We are like in the back using the screen, and I was sharing him my music, and we were dancing to the music and just having fun. And then he'd share his music, and we were and then, like we're all like having fun in the back there because I don't have to worry about driving. I don't have to do live stream. We were like playing, like in this case, it was listening to music, but I could easily have seen us, you want to play chess, and put it up there and we play chess. Absolutely. I'd be doing games. I'd be doing, and also talking, of course. But no, this is a full entertainment scenario. And what happens in the limousine? Somebody's driving you.
There
You guys
he
have
goes
fun.
again, Max. There he goes again. He's traumatized. I tell you
Herbert,
that.
this is PG-13 related show.
What
You'll
happens
never
in
have your
limousine stays
80,000
watching.
views again if you cut the kids out. I mean, this is it.
Yeah. So I mean,
Herbert, what
I'll jump
happens
on.
in a limousine?
I guess you don't ride in one, huh, Jeff? I thought you would. I thought I'm driven around everywhere in limousines.
Well, now we know.
What happens in a limousine in the tunnel in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's another story. Yep. Tesla now allows, it's going to test out FSD in the tunnels in Vegas. I mean, it's a long time coming, right? But the guy, the mayor of Las Vegas said actually it took longer. And he said because of the lights and different shadows or something like that. I don't know if I believe what he was saying, but that's what he said.
Yeah, I thought Vegas would be the first place because it's like such a set route. You don't really need to worry about traffic too much. It just seems like the easiest problem to solve. But I guess on the similar vein, like you've got less data, to train on of how you operate in the tunnel with the lights and that sort of thing. So I could see that being the case, but I'm glad to see it roll out finally.
Yeah. Anybody answer Alexandra's question? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Agree?
I was actually just about to add on to that too. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's going to be kind of similar to a plane. Like, yeah, some people watch a movie.
Yes.
Some people will listen to something. Some people will just like close their eyes and rest. Some people will do some work, and like working on a plane is not great, but like we've all done it, right? Like it's suboptimal, but when you've got a presentation or something you need to work on, it's nice to at least be able to do that. So I think Robotaxi is going to be the same way where, okay, maybe it's a little jittery and it's not the ideal venue to watch a movie, say, but like, I mean, I just had a 4-hour road trip on FSD, and I was like, man, it would be really nice if I could actually watch a show or something like that. Just maybe I wouldn't do it the full 4 hours, but just have the option would be awesome. So yeah, I do kind of think that was it McKinsey that made that point?
Yeah.
It just sounds like BS to me. Like, yeah, like maybe she doesn't want to do that, but some people definitely will. And the great thing about it is
I thought actually maybe
whatever
it's a
they want to do.
generational thing. I mean, she didn't look as old as I am, but I just have this feeling that especially the younger generation, the 20 and 30-year-olds, now you think they're going to just sit in the car and watch the scenery? I mean, never in their lives. They're so hooked on their screens anyway, and they feel they're missing out if they're not doing anything. So it seems old world thinking to not sell, you as a consultant, to not tell these industry out there, look, this is a complete new revenue stream. This is a complete new behavior of the consumer in your car, and you have to get ready for that. And the consumer gets addicted to that and wants that. And if your car is not even giving you half the options, talk about not even full self-drive, they don't want your car anymore. I mean, that's what we see in China, right? That's one of the reasons why China is exploding, other than the Model Y Long, of course.
Sorry, Jeff, you're going to say something?
No, I just think productivity is going to go up when this occurs. It's different for different people. I agree with Matt and Alexandra. I also think there's just going to be this familiarity period where in the beginning it goes unsupervised and be like, okay, is this real? Especially for new people new to FSD. But after a period of time, they're going to realize this thing drives better than you do. And you're going to feel better about it. The other thing is, I think the whole script gets flipped, because right now we have distracted driving accidents with the humans being distracted, and now you have a car that never gets distracted, and you're going to have humans basically distracted most or more of the time. But I think the stats are going to show it's actually going to be safer. It's going to be wild when that occurs, but it's going to get rid of one of the biggest causes of accidents.
What is the probability that Elon is proven correct when he said that he expects robotaxi, some form of robotaxi, could still be the safety driver, supervised driver, like Uber-like in California, to cover 50% of the population of the U.S. by the end of this year?
By the end of this year.
What's your probability?
Now, the thing is, if the question is that we have 12 cars in New York and LA and San Francisco and Austin and whatever each, maybe. Okay. I don't consider that covering 50%, even if the sum of all these cities would represent 50% of the population, just because it's still in such an early state, right? Now, you can split hairs over that. So he may be right that there are robotaxis operating at small numbers in large zones. I think on the large zones, we can all agree very quickly by then. But that doesn't mean that anybody of these 50% of the population can touch the app and the robotaxi is there. That's two different scenarios. That's not going to happen by the end of the year.
I think there's two different answers. Elon was giving the engineering answer, which is the candidate software, the hardware in the vehicles, that whole system will be capable of being qualified for half the population. The operational answer may be something different, and that's where the regulators come in. That's when the ramp up and rollout of vehicles, safety rider or not. I think he was plotting the performance of available software releases and what would be qualifiable in at least half of the U.S. or more, and I think that's the answer we were getting.
And then, what about the statement he made? Something like, "I would be shocked if we don't have 1 million robotaxis on the roads by next year, end of next year."
That's promising. I hope that's one of the milestones in his compensation package. I'd love that. I'd love
interesting.
that. I'd love that. I mean, those milestones. Herbert,
except that
in my life,
him.
did I not look forward so much then to that list of those milestones? I mean,
but it would push him. It would that might push him to do something that's not as safe.
I was going to ask you, Alexandra, should you time bound that? Like you get, I don't know, however many shares.
The milestones will be time bound. There was no doubt about it.
Look at like 1 million by end of next year. Like that'd be great if he hit it. But like, do you get 80% if it's in 2027 instead, and like 50% if it's 2028, and like 0 if it's 2029? Like, how would you even structure that?
Matt, I'm so looking forward to that proxy. It's been a long time in my non-private life that I've been looking forward to some things as much as that one.
All right. Well, we'll have a debrief once that comes out then.
Yeah. So did we answer the question though? So probability that we'll hit 1 million.
Herbert.
Probability that there will be 1 million robotaxis by the end of next year. What's your probability?
I'm saying 5%.
Ooh. Whoa. Jeez.
I'm a little bit more optimistic, 25%. I mean, the problem is 25% doesn't mean anything. It's either yes or no. So if I'm at 25%, I'm a no.
I'm sub 10%.
Single digits. Oh my gosh.
But I think there's the by the way, as CEO, you should be giving the operational answer, which is vehicles on the road operating, versus the engineering answer of like, I have something that's capable, but I'm just not through the regulators. I don't think we're seeing some like unnecessary or unreasonable feedback in terms of regulation hurdles. I maybe in Europe. I mean, maybe that's where we're seeing some of it. But in terms of the U.S., it seems to be going okay so far. So I think it's gonna come down to that. By the way, I think that's the answers you're gonna start hearing. You'll hear more of from. I think he's been saying it, but I think you'll hear more of it from Elon as well, which is it's pending regulatory approval. But I think it's low. I think 1 million. It's half of Tesla's production would be just robotaxis. So, I mean, this is a real shift. They have a build to order model where people can go on a website and order a car. And then they have a smaller inventory model of people that can go and shop and buy an existing car. This is a third sales channel to fleets and to themselves, maybe. I think it's going to take time to ramp that channel up.
But there's also R cars that could be added by then.
Yeah.
He said second half of next year. That's, I mean, again, he's being very aggressive, and you guys don't believe it. Yeah.
Wait. And the thing is, again, if it is part of the proxy, the definition will be much more clearer, right? It will be, is it fleet? Is it Tesla's fleet? Is it all cars? Is it whatever? Is it only US? Whatever. But I want to get back to the point of Europe from Jeff. I agree with you, Jeff. I think we are still having major hurdles to face in Europe because we were supposed in May 3 months ago to have cleared Europe, right? And to be on the way. Nothing of that happened. Also, one thing that happened this week in the German press, and I don't think Tesla has confirmed it, but may be wrong on that point, is that the expansion of Giga Berlin, remember they were supposed to double of size, is on hold, is not happening at the moment anymore and is on hold. I think there is a real downgrading of Europe in Tesla's mind. I think Tesla has made a shift of China and United States and, really hit those two markets as quickly and as big as possible, and is sort of slowing down. And I'm not saying slowing down in the sense of going regression, but slowing down the expansion in Europe just because European administration seems to be too dumb to be cooperating. And so that it was for months and months again, this whole, for the, 7th time game about water, and do we have clear water coming out of Tesla's, the whole water situation, I don't even want to get into it, such a pain in the backside, but they're just opening this whole thing over and over and over again, where, it's been decided and there shouldn't be any discussion about it anymore, and Tesla won that part. And I think there's just, somebody just hit the brakes on Europe and said, you know what, that's not a priority today.
Well, that's new information. I have not heard this. Sounds good. Thank you for sharing that.
But on the other side, so they did build, I think it was 100,000 Model Ys in a very limited number of months at Giga Berlin, which was great. And the other thing is that tomorrow, by the time this airs, there's a new model launching at Giga Berlin first. So we don't know whether that one is. There's speculation, could be the performance Model Y. I don't know what it is, but something is going to launch tomorrow in Giga Berlin.
Ooh, okay. Gosh, you're full of new information. How do you have information I don't have? Okay, I track everything so closely.
Jeff, you knew all this, right?
Some of it. I thought he was going to say you're full of it for a minute.
He would dare, and then
I would not dare do that. Okay.
And we are stepping back.
Let's get back to shareholder voting. But before we get that, because you were mentioning about the proxy coming up, that before we do that, let's cover this Model Y/L success. Wow, so far, right? It's taken off. Here's Tesla China's Grace Tao. She said that the new Model Y/L 6-seater is built to Tesla's global standards. What does that mean, Jeff? And then they're working overtime to deliver cars to customers as fast as possible. Deliveries are going to come soon. This is Deutsche Bank, who is talking to, I don't know, the dealer feedback? Who's dealer feedback? Tesla is the dealer, but they said that they're expecting Tesla China's new order flow to double by grow 100% month to month, estimated 130,000 units by next year because of the Model Y/L success. Can you answer and give us some more clarity on that, Jeff?
Yeah, I think this is a good start. It's a good launch. And I think from a manufacturing perspective, there's tremendous reuse between these models. So it's a good thing. I think building the global standards means that they believe they've designed something that can be qualified in multiple geographies. So it's passing standards for Europe, it's passing standards for Canada, maybe passing standards for the US. It wouldn't build in Shanghai and export to the US. But you could export those design files to multiple other factories and have them build. So I wouldn't be surprised if Berlin isn't building this soon, and then potentially in the US. In the US, maybe they have an opportunity to add a little bit more room to it or not. I think that's when, when Elon was making that statement about this variant, end of next year, or maybe not at all. I think they could do a little bit more tweaking. Remember, there's parts that Tesla own, and a lot of the parts that are related to the size of the vehicle are vertically integrated, actually, and Tesla owns those parts. So they could be They could be doing something else in another facility, and we'll see. But I think what she was saying in China is that they built something that could be exported and be qualified globally, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you it's going outside of China for sure, and they plan on having a huge export volume on it, which is good.
And then Matt, you keep track of vehicle sales. It's part of your financial model. YL is surprising everybody. It's very successful. But do you think it's just the wash? They're just eating up some more Ys that would have been sold otherwise? Or is this going to change your model? Add some more vehicle sales to what you were expecting originally?
I mean, my model had increased deliveries kind of back half of this year and into next year. I think if you're looking at like what Troy Teslake has been saying, it's like, okay, deliveries are going to flatline or decrease, this year, and it doesn't get any better from here. So I think that was a bit of the concern kind of coming into this year is, okay, what are we going to do to kind of spark increases in deliveries? And I think honestly a lot of investors had this mindset of like, okay, well, maybe deliveries are just flatlining, but Robotaxi is getting closer, so maybe we just get saved by that. I think what we're seeing now is a lot more excitement around what these vehicles are going to do for the P&D reports, which have not been so exciting recently. So my model isn't really changing because I was already kind of assuming that these new launches would be pretty good and would lead to an increase in deliveries. So I think no significant changes on what I'm looking at, but I think that the kind of narrative of Tesla is just like slowly eroding margins and deliveries are flatlining, like that whole thing, which we were all concerned about, 6 months, a year ago. I think that narrative is shifting, and now we're shifting back into growth mode. We had another Tesla executive talking about potentially needing to raise prices in the US because Model Y demand is so strong. And I think I also had this sense that we were flatlining for a while because, you had like the early adopters that like they were like tech heavy and, they were just very excited about what Tesla was doing. And we just assumed you'd go right into kind of like early mass market, and that just didn't happen. And I think what's happening now is like anecdotally, I'm seeing a lot of this in my own life where people who are not tech heavy don't like care that much about like the app or, self-driving. They're seeing like just the car and they're like, oh, this is just a great car and it's price competitive with other cars now. I thought it was a $70,000 car. Now I'm realizing you can get it for $45,000, and at least for now with the tax credit on top of that. And so I think you're getting a little bit of this crossover into mass market people who aren't the nerds like us, talking about and ingesting Tesla daily. So I think it's all those things kind of coming together that's going to lead to a surge in kind of core demand for their vehicles. And I think we're going to see some improvement in gross margin for that.
Yeah. You have a lot of things.
I can't believe you're going to change your model, dude.
We're going to force them to change it. You're going to force them to change it?
Yeah, I'm going to force you to change it. Dude, listen, okay? You know this already.
What's
IRA.
this all about now, Herbert?
The IRA credit is showing that it's incredible. They're sold out basically at this point. You got to add, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 vehicles that you didn't add before.
Is he a car salesman?
When Q4 comes, do you guys agree that they're probably, if FSD 14 does come out in time, in a month or two, that they're going to go and market that like crazy? That's going to be increased, especially if it's that much better. You don't account for those two
He's
for the end
waiting
of this
for
year.
the bus. He has 7 kids. Herbert,
No, like,
leave him alone.
I was expecting all this stuff to happen. So we were. I don't remember off the top of my head what numbers I had, but I was close to 500,000 for both Q3 and Q4.
Okay, so you're already at the top.
So I was already assuming we'd get some acceleration of growth because of these
That's too much.
models.
You got to bring it down. No, that's too much.
No, like I think I'm going to be proven right. Like, but this is what I was thinking earlier in the year. And then on top of that, I've assumed. I think not many people actually model out FSD take rates. I have for the last 6 years modeled FSD take rates. Now it's a guess because Tesla obviously doesn't disclose those. But I've tried to tie historically what my assumption on take rate is to Tesla's actual financials and like back out what's their actual like automotive gross margin from manufacturing, what's the FSD gross margin, how many subscribers do they have. So I'm modeling all this stuff out, and I'm assuming an increase in FSD take rate and a more significant increase in FSD subscriptions for all these reasons that we're already talking about. But that was already in my base case, and as is Robotaxi expanding.
Wow, man!
Now he's going to give you the grin because he doesn't have anything else.
Yeah,
to
so
say.
I don't have anything else.
I mean,
he shocked me.
You need to get more bullish, and I'm like, no, I was already bullish. Now you're saying I'm too bullish.
Right. 500,000 is too bullish, right, Jeff? Come on, back me up, dude.
I think it was slightly below 500,000, but it was like I don't know, maybe 480, 490, something like
Okay,
that
480s,
on average
yeah.
for these past 2 quarters, when I think a lot of people were not anywhere near that.
Gotcha.
Isn't this where we're supposed to say vehicle sales don't matter anymore?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
I agree with
Alexandra
that
said.
They
too.
do
Like,
matter.
it's
By the way,
it's
spoiler
nice,
alert,
but
they do matter.
it doesn't really move the valuation too much. It's just I think it helps sentiment in the short term, which is like, it's nice, but I don't think it really matters that much.
I mean, what I was trying to get at was FSD take rate should go up. They would advertise it. They would market it more. They were talking about doing a push. They're not going to do the push now. So if, I know Nick Gibbs has been very vocal about, hey, we got it. Why aren't you pushing it now? It's for safety. I get that part. But they're not going to, because all the cars are being sold the way it is now. They're cutting back incentives. But I think in October, they're going to come out strong with FSD, all sorts of push, promoting people, because it's going to be 14. It's going to be that much better than what we have now too. And that's going to add margin.
Just because it's a higher number, it's going to be better.
14 versus 13. I
think
mean,
it's
if you
gonna take 'em a
believe what
couple
they're saying.
months.
Don't even try, Jeff.
It's going to
Well,
take.
I mean,
it's going to
I
take them a
think-
couple months. I think expectations should be proper on this. I know Elon said. By the way, I'm not superseding anything. I think he said both things. I think he said targeting release end of September, but also it's going to take a couple of months to get make sure everything's smoothed out and new model, new release. So,
But they also
for
said they're
me,
going
I'm
to try
saying later
to
Q4 early.
they're going to try to increase the 50% take rate of the of Tesla owners, and they haven't done anything really. So they might do that in October, November, December.
He also said something
November
qualitatively
6th.
about the way that it's driving, and it's like it has like almost superhuman like perception, and is just anticipating things before we would even realize that they need to be. And to me, that completely makes sense that it would be behaving that way. And I think that's the type of thing where like that's what's going to sell people, is like people aren't going to say like, okay, is it an accident every 75,000 miles or every 200,000 miles? And I'm not comfortable with 75,000. What they're going to do is have their butt in a seat, realize how better than them this is as a driver, just in terms of like comfort, because we all make these like weird mistakes where like you drift in the lane a little bit, or like you're slightly too jerky with the stopping, and V13 for the most part is better than us on a lot of those like smoothing things, and V14 I assume is going to be even better. So I think people are going to like take rate will go up for the qualitative experience, more so than necessarily like the safety stats.
All right. Shareholder voting. Alexandra, can you give us an update on what we're expecting in the next
Yes. Thank
week or
you
months?
for giving me the opportunity to address this again. So by the time this airs, it's Friday before the long Labor Day weekend. Don't worry about it now. But as soon as we're back, beginning of September, we have to concentrate on the shareholder vote. The shareholder vote will be 2 months later, on the 6th of November. But let me tell you what happens before. There are 2 crucial dates. I do believe the 8th of September is the date of record, meaning the date at which your shares are transformed to voting rights. 1 share, 1 voting right. Could be any date between September 2nd and September 15th, but my best guess is it is September 8th. So beginning of next week, if you are using margin in the accounts and there is an S at the end in which you have Tesla shares, make sure you contact your broker and banker. The question to ask is, have you lent out my Tesla shares? If they say yes, or if there's a possibility they will do it in the 10 days that follow, beginning of September, tell them not to do so. Tell them to use other shares or tell them to whatever else. But it is important that you have your voting rights, because when they're lent out, usually the voting rights go with them. So that's the first thing you have to do beginning of the week when we come back from Labor Day. The second thing is that we then can expect between September 12th and 22nd, the proxy. Once we have the proxy, most Americans will have easy access to vote because it's all online. Those brokerages and banks have set it all up. You get a control number. Do remember, you have 1 vote per share. So if you have Tesla shares in multiple accounts, you need multiple control numbers and multiple links from your broker to vote. You will not just have 1 vote if you have Tesla shares in a 401k, in a Roth IRA, in your trading account. That will give you 4 control numbers, and you will have to vote individually on all 4. There is also an effort that Tesla may put in place a separate voting facilitating system. I don't know how far they are on that. I heard early rumors of that a couple of weeks ago. I have no idea whether this is happening. But if anything makes it easier, you will hear from all of us. Herbert and me will do shows specifically dedicated to that to ensure people know how to do it in the easiest manner. So you will be able to vote from the moment the proxy comes out between September 12th and 22nd. That's where we'll know all the milestones. There we'll know for all the other questions that come up. And you'll be able to vote up to November 5th midnight, right? So you will have 6-7 weeks to vote. So don't panic if on the first day your broker doesn't have it all lined up or you don't have a control number yet. We'll give you instructions how to get those control numbers and what to do. Again, it should be very easy for US and North American investors. If it's not easy, we're here to help and make sure that you can vote. It's too late now to change of broker, because once you are on the date of record, which again will be in the next 10 days, if you're on the date of record not with a certain broker, your voting rights have vanished. So we've given you the last 4 or 5 weeks instruction how to change. If you haven't done that now, well, then sit tight and we'll try to fix whatever we can fix with your current broker. And then we'll move up to November 5th. We'll hopefully have again on November 5th, midnight Eastern, because that's the moment it counts, a post from Elon telling us how the important votes went. And then let's just hope we can celebrate on November 6th at the shareholder meeting. Okay, important stuff coming up, and I'm going to talk about it again and again, but it's really important that we line this up. Retail is going to bring him over the line again. If we make this happen, it's going to happen because of retail. So let's make sure we're all on board.
Yeah, we need to all work together as retail shareholders, support, educate everybody, make sure that they all vote. And let's do it right. So I was going to ask, first of all, thank you so much, Alexandra. Always great information, keeping us updated. This is so important. It's this particular one, right? This particular shareholder vote, annual shareholder meeting is critical because it's not just one thing we're going to vote for, multiple things that matter to Tesla.
5 years. I'm sure this whole compensation plan is the next 5 years of Tesla. And if you interpret all the posts that Elon did, thinking this can become a 20 trillion market cap, if that is true, if we can 20x in 5 years, I mean, believe me, there's nobody who should vote against this. So again, I'm so curious to see those milestones that they're going to put in there. But most important and homework for each and all of us is make sure you have your voting rights the next 2 weeks. And then make sure you know how to vote. And we'll help you as much as you can. Reach out to Herbert, reach out to Jeff, don't reach out to Matt. Reach out to me. I'm not going to bother you with that stuff, Matt.
Undisclosed situation. Location. So I want to ask the question. One of the things we're going to vote on is whether or not Tesla should invest in XAI. The panel here, are you willing to share where you might lean on that? Curious about you, Matt. Haven't heard you ever talk about this.
Yeah, I do support it. I think Tesla's AI experience and expertise is like phenomenal in real world. I think they have obviously not been competing in the LLM race, let alone like the kind of broader world knowledge. And to me, it seems pretty natural. I was playing with the Grok integration on Tesla today, and it was like phenomenal. Like we were speaking earlier about like all the ways you can pass time in a Robotaxi. Grok's actually like an amazing way to do that. You can learn, you can just have a conversation. Phenomenal. So I think there's some very natural kind of crossover in that. So I definitely would support that. Now I have to clarify that's just my opinion. I'm as an investment advisor representative, I've got like rules around not being able to give that kind of advice on how people should vote. But personally, for me, I do think it makes sense to tighten the integration of those two companies, and I think both companies would actually benefit from that.
Okay. Alexandra.
Yeah, well, I have a long explanation and a short one. So the first one is I want Tesla to invest because I think it is a brilliant monetary investment. I think we're going to make a lot of money on it, and that is my primary reason to recommend voting for it. And then the longer explanation is one that I don't understand technology-wise, in the sense that, these synergies that are now forming that were initially not so clear between XAI and Tesla, they will obviously come closer together. Whenever I speak to people who are much more into the AI field than I will ever comprehend, and I'm always being very clear of where I know what I'm doing and where I don't. And on this field, I certainly don't. They tell me that, yes, a year ago, those were two parallel companies that had different goals. Now it's actually coming closer together. So that is another, goodie point. But in my whole analysis, I was also thinking as a investor, do I want to invest at current prices? What are we getting for our money? And so I retraced the story of XAI, and if this is getting too long, you may want to cut this out. But anyway, so XAI was founded in July 2023, so just 2 years old. It was incorporated in Nevada because we're already in the midst of the Tonetta case, and it's a for-profit corporation. So he didn't do those mistakes that were done with OpenAI. Then he announced in October the first team announcement and hired people. They were coming both from DeepMind and from Google. In November, so less than a year and 3/4 ago, he released Grok 1. Then they moved officially the headquarters to San Francisco beginning of 2024, had in May 2024 a first Series B funding round for $6 billion at a $24 billion valuation. So that was Andreessen, Sequoia, BlackRock, all that going in, and $6 billion for $24 billion. But that was at the level of Grok 1. And I just want to build up what we're getting today, right? Then in June 24 was the announcement of Colossus in Memphis. And then it was operational December 2024, so 9 months ago, after only 122 days of construction with 100,000 NVIDIA chips. In August 2024, so a year ago, they released Grok 2. In February this year, they released Grok 3. In March, they acquired X Corp. So now former Twitter is part of XAI. So what we're buying is also X, right? And that was in this all straight. So by then, the total valuation was now 80 billion on, so remember the 24 billion became 80 billion and the 33 billion from XAI. From X. So that became 113. So we're now 24, went to 80, integrated the 33, 113. And then in July this year, so 2 months ago, they raised 5 billion in debt, 3 billion in secured notes and 2 billion in term loans, and 5 billion in equity at a valuation of 75 billion. So that was really strange, how that went down, but it was mingled with getting rid of debt or restructuring the debt. And then they released a couple of days later Grok 4. So now we are on the version of Grok 4. Obviously, Grok 5 coming out and may actually come out before we can invest. They then won that US Department of Defense contract for 200 million. So we're coming a bit late to the game. And the question still prevails, once we have voted on whether we want to invest or not, is at what price? Now, when I see where Grok is going and how dominant it is on the technology side, I forget all my, are we 10 billion close to the correct valuation or not? I just say, let's go, right? But I also want to understand where we are. And so the other question is, who owns XAI and how could this work? My preferred scenario would be a share swap, so that XAI gets Tesla shares and Tesla gets XAI shares. Currently, Elon owns between 60 and 80%. It's not very clear. He had 40 to 60% of XAI, and then he obviously got the part that he had in X. And because the X investors got 25% of XAI. So all that calculation brings him to somewhere between 60 and 80%. Then the X Corp investors, whereof Elon was 74%. The rest was Saudi Arabia's Kingdom Holding, Qatar, the venture capitalist firms, Andreessen, Sequoia, etc. Jack Dorsey still. They got 25% of XAI. And then we have 20 to 30% institutional investors and 5 to 15% in the employee pool. Very complicated to get information on that. I really had to dig on a lot of little informations and posts and whatever to get there. So by doing a share swap, Elon is actually the one giving up the most because he's the biggest shareholder in XAI to get more Tesla shares, because then XAI is holding Tesla shares. So it could actually also solve partially his wish for more influence and voting power in Tesla. I'm not vehemently, but not favorable against using Tesla's cash. I think Tesla needs the cash we currently have, 39 billion now. But that could be another way of doing it. Like I said, my preferred version would be a stock swap. It could be debt financing. I don't think they want to go there. It could be a sort of a joint venture partnership, but I don't think the projects are aligned enough to really set it up as a joint venture. And I don't think there is any way to do an asset exchange, the Colossus or whatever else as an exchange. But who knows? They may be very creative about it. So anyway, long story short, I have all the pros and cons, and we're certainly going to get into it once we know exactly how they're going to formulate it in the proxy. But long story short, as a financial investment, I'm 100% for it. I think we should do it, and the sooner the better. And I'm not very picky on the valuation, because I know this valuation just, it grew so much, and this whole AI sector grew so much that whatever it is, it's going to be. I mean, we're not going to give them a blank check, but I do believe we'll find a fair value where we're all happy with it. For all the rest, AI and tech-wise, I'm happy to learn, and I'm sure there is synergies, but I'm not, feeling something that is just completely evident where I feel they have to now suddenly be together.
Wow. Incredible. Really appreciate all the research you spent to get all this info. Very, very useful. Thank you again, Alexandra. Do you want to answer, Jeff, or do you want me to go? XAI?
What's the original question?
Should Tesla invest in XAI?
Yes. I mean,
are you going to vote yes?
Yeah. Thanks for going. Hold on, Herbert. Jeez.
Gosh, that's the question. The question is, are you going to vote yes? Yeah, that was the question.
Well, I need to see the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see the deal, and I need to see the valuation. I mean, the synergies have been there for a long time. You can go point by point. XAI was started with many Tesla engineers. How is Colossus powered? Tesla Megapacks, Tesla engineering behind those Megapacks, by the way, to do that work, to get that power smoothing in. And then I just keep coming back to asset utilization of all these GPUs and just having these separate training facilities. Maybe there's a good reason for it at a certain period of time. I do understand how XAI started and the types of resources needed and the mission was different. But now everything about AI is going to be about moving physical real world objects through the world. And I think it's going to converge back to that, and it's going to be, vehicles, bots in many different forms. By the way, it could be manufacturing bots, could be humanoid bots, could be a number of different things. So the TAM for this is enormous. The synergies have been there. We've been asking for this for a while. I wish we would have been in a year ago. So let's see where it's at. If it's, I would have much rather been in at 25 or 75 billion. If it's at 200 billion, I still think there's tremendous upside from there. Let's see what the deal looks like. But I would be leaning, favorably towards it.
Yeah, good answers. My only contribution to this conversation is that I think of XAI as much bigger than most people do. Remember, people said, why would we invest in XAI when they're just an LLM that's a commodity? You can ask questions, get answers. Everybody's kind of just leapfrogging each other. That is not where this is headed, right? You can already see where this is going. It's agentic AI. Their macro hard is a new division formed by Elon that's going to replace or counter against what Microsoft is doing. You don't need OSs anymore. You don't need apps anymore. Possibly he might create devices where you don't need OSs and apps anymore. And he's going to create AI data centers in massive size that he's talking about now, bigger than Manhattan. These kind of things, it's going to replace a lot more than just a question and answer that you're using right now on your chat GPT or Grok right now. This is tremendous potential for this. It's much bigger. This is AGI, and AGI can do all sorts of things that we haven't even thought of, new business models. So I think it's an imperative that Tesla is invested in something that is part of this. So I do think that we'll see what the deal is, but I'd be in favor of it in general. I think we have time for one quick fire question. We can do that. And I'm sorry, but my first quick fire question is about vehicles again. Sorry. When will the more affordable vehicle launch? Are you guys still thinking it's going to be October, November, maybe pushed out to next year?
Q4 2025.
Yeah. Matt, did you model this in?
Yeah, I did. I think I originally had it in first half of this year because that's what he said. So, that gets pushed back. I think like November, I would guess at this point. We'll see. It's not going to move the needle too much this year on volumes, but I think it will next year.
Yeah, same Q4, but yeah, low volumes.
I'm actually wondering if they are not going to release it on the day of the shareholder meeting. We'll all be there, having been at the Cybertruck event and whatever. I think, and I think we all agree it's going to be one of those events where you can order it straight away, and it will be available in the weeks that come. It's not going to be like 2 years later they finally launch it. It's going to be something that is immediately available. And so I think if all goes well at the shareholder meeting, that could be a very nice way of just showing it there. And now the order page is open.
Have they ever done that before? A shareholder meeting turned into a
but
product,
I don't think they will do
launch
a
meeting?
special. I don't think they will do a special, especially because it's going to look like a Model Y, shorter, whatever.
I see.
And it's more about the price, and it's more about, how they stripped it down. I mean, you all know that I think we're going to get rid of the glass roof, even though Larry doesn't agree with me. But, if all these things come true, I don't think it deserves, a whole let's walk the line. And I mean, Jeff, we worked together at the Cybertruck release. I mean, it was wonderful because you suddenly saw how revolutionary the whole setup was. But I don't think that's what this is all about. I don't think this deserves, and it sounds bad when I said does not deserve, but it does not need, is probably the better word, a product release day, because it's all about functionality and price. And functionality and price, and I think this would be a nice way. I mean, I do believe in timing anyway. It's in there. 6th of November is in the middle of that Q4. And since now we have the spillover of the IRA with the 7,500, being able to be dragged out, may not be on the 1st of October, so may as well be 6th of November, but pure speculation.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Logical.
Yeah, and I would say too, the Model Y, which is their most successful vehicle, obviously had such a soft launch. Like they were intentionally downplaying it, and it was like the most unimpressive vehicle launch because he didn't want to cannibalize Model 3. So I think it's pretty obvious that the same logic would go here. Now maybe they do a separate vehicle launch or product launch. I think it's it easily could. It wouldn't surprise me. But I think Alexandra's point is accurate that they don't need a big splashy thing. The vehicle is going to speak for itself.
I would just say there's a lot of milestones between now and the end of the year. We have potentially this vehicle launching. We're supposed to have the start of production of Cybercab. We're supposed to have at least a demo on Roadster, Semi. I don't know if there's a milestone, if it's started production in this year or first half of next year, but there's actually a lot of vehicle milestones
dancing on the
coming
scene
up.
at the shareholder meeting.
Optimus dancing, yep.
Optimus 3.
Well, I was asking Scott Walter, and he doesn't think it's going to be the Optimus 3. It will be Optimus 2 dancing.
Oh, I want to take that bet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's any progress on Optimus 2 anymore. I think they're full on Optimus 3 now.
Great. Thank you guys very much. That was good. One of the best panels I think we have here. Thank you. Appreciate you. Alexandra, you do so much work. You do so much research, and you share that with us. I appreciate you there. Jeff, of course, always the best. And then we have Matt. Appreciate you today for sharing your financial models, and you surprised me. You're more optimistic than I thought. That's good. Too optimistic. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Bye all.
Thanks,
Thank you, Herbert.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.